Section 2.4, the cosine law. A triangle that does not contain a right angle is called oblique. And you can use the cosine law to solve problems involving obliques. So when you have an angle bigger than 90 in a triangle that you've been given, you can also use the cosine law. Okay, so to find a side length using the cosine law, you must know the measures of the angle opposite that side. So I know C, you need to know what's across from it, plus the length of the other two sides. In other words, you have side, angle, side. Okay? If the unknown side is C, then the cosine law is written as C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cos C. All that really matters is you have your side length and the angle opposite here. The A and B, don't worry about which is which. It just means the other two sides we put there. Okay, again, only the side length and the angle need to be across from one another in order to use this. Okay, so this is the cosine law, and this is very important. Oops. This is what you're going to want to have on your formula sheet. Okay, we can also use an angle for the cosine law, and you must know the length of all three sides in a triangle. In other words, you must know side, side, side. So if you want to find an angle, what's important is that you put the sides in the right location. You put this side opposite the angle here. Okay? That's what matters. So you can see people writing this as A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. All that matters is, look, this A and A, okay, are across from each other. So then if you're solving for angle C or for angle A, you want to get that angle by itself. So look what they did here. They subtracted A squared B squared. They brought it over to this side. Okay, now they divided both sides by negative 2AB, and then they inverse cosed it. So generally speaking, what I do is I always start with a cosine law in this form, and then I solve. And I try and leave as much of it in my calculator as I can, so I'm not writing down funny decimals. I just try and leave as much of it as I can, and then cos minus 1 is my answer. Okay? There is no ambiguous case. Yay! For the cosine law. Why? Because the cos of 40 is not equal to the cos of 140. Because in this quadrant, cos is negative. Okay? And you can use cosine law in combination with the sine law to solve triangles. So we might need to use both strategies. Okay, let's try a problem. Determine the length of side B to one decimal place. So I'm trying to find this length. So I have side, angle, side. I have an oblique triangle. I can use cosine law. So in this case, I'm going to rewrite it as B squared, because that's what I want to find out, is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cos, oh, there's two C's, AC and then cos of angle B. So look at that relationship, B and B, because those are across from each other. Okay, I'm going to sub in what I know. B squared is what I don't know. A, I'm going to say is 100 squared, plus C is 50 squared, minus 2 times 100 times 50 times the cos of 155. Okay. Now to do this, I'm going to get my calculator out. And my calculator on here might be slightly different than the calculator you use. Okay, but I'm going to do all of this stuff first, and then I'm going to add these two things onto it, just my order of operations. That makes sense to me. So I'm going to go 155 cos. Where's my cos button? Cos. I'm going to times that by 50, times that by 100, and then times it by 2 negative. Now where's my plus minus button? 2 negative. Okay. Then I am going to add 100 squared plus 50 squared. Okay, equals, and I get this giant number. So B squared, whoops, if B squared is equal to that, I need to square the number to just get b by itself. So I'm not even going to write anything down. I'm leaving it all in my calculator because I don't want to write a bunch of decimals. So I am going to do the square root of that, and I have to find my square root button. There it is. So I'm going to do square root of that is 146. 146. Now I'm going to look back. Is that reasonable? Knowing that this side is 100 and that side's 50, is it reasonable that that could be 146? Of course that's reasonable, because this is looking like the longest side, and this has got to be the biggest angle, because I only have 180 degrees in a triangle. These are going to be little. So it makes sense that this would be my biggest side. So that is reasonable. Okay, let's try another question here. Determine the measure of angle A to the nearest degree. So look, I have this relationship where these are across from each other. So I'm going to rewrite it as a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc. So always notice that whatever we have here is there, cos, and it has to be cos of a, because these two have to be in a relationship. Okay, I'm going to fill in what I know. I have 20 squared is equal to b squared, across from b is 14, so 14 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 times 14 times c to 14, 15, cos A. I'm going to isolate cos A. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to subtract these 14s and 15 squared. So 20 squared minus 14 squared minus 15 squared is equal to negative 2 times 14 times 15 times the cos of A. Getting cos of A by itself, I'm going to have to divide both sides by negative 2 times 14 times 15. These things will all equal 1. I'm left with just cos of A. Okay, and I have to do that to this side as well. Negative 2 times 14 times 15. So 20 squared minus 14 squared minus 15 squared over negative 2 times 14 times 15. To get A all by itself, I'm going to inverse cos both sides. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go cos minus 1 of 20 squared minus 14 squared minus 15 squared over to negative 2. Don't forget that negative. 14, 15. Okay, and hopefully that will give us a reasonable angle for A. So my calculator, this is the way I'm going to do it, and your calculator may be different. Okay, so I am going to do bracket, and I'm going to go 20 squared minus 14 squared minus 15 squared, bracket. Okay, so I get minus 21. I'm going to divide that by bracket negative 2. Oh, I have done something wrong. I messed up. Okay, I'm going to do this again. You guys won't mess up on yours. So I'm not used to the calculator on the computer here. Okay, so 20 squared minus 14 squared minus 15 squared bracket equals minus 21 divided by bracket. Here we go. 2 negative 2 times 14 times 15 bracket. Okay, so that is equal to 0.05, and now I'm going to inverse cos it. So I'm going to go inverse cos, and I get 87, and that's looking really good. 87 and some change. Okay, and let's look if that is reasonable. Does it make sense that this could be 87 degrees? You know what? I think that does look about right. Okay, so again, just make sure you always have that relationship in the cosine law where the side over here is squared and the angle have the same letter. Okay.